Hello, my name is Jerry Wise. I am a therapist at Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, and the north side of Indianapolis. And this video is entitled, You Can't Have a Healthy Marriage Without Dealing with the Family You Grew Up in. In other words, you can't have a healthy marriage without dealing with the family of origin issues inside of you. Some people, when they talk about family of origin issues, and some therapists even don't like to deal with family of origin issues in their counseling settings. They might like a more behavioral approach, or let's try this or let's try that. In other words, let's change your behavior or change your attitude or change your thoughts, which all of those things are useful. However, I think what is at the core of our problems, particularly with marriages, is the inter or multi-generational lens that we have within us that we don't choose to use to deal with our problems or to have a healthy marriage. Some think of doing family of origin work as, well, then you just want me to blame my family, my parents for everything. No. Or you want me to go and have arguments with my family and tell them how wrong they were. No, that's not helpful. What I want you to do is I want you to see the way things really were, and I want you to heal what wasn't good in your growing up and your relationship with your parents and siblings. And to heal that and resolve that within you so you don't carry it around as baggage, which creates problems for you now in your marriage, in your parenting, at work, limiting your success, all kinds of hindrances that it causes. That's what I hope to see happen. And I've seen thousands of people do that. So I know it works. Your marriage is often hard to see as a mirror of your parents' marriage. It's hard to see that because we think we're so different from our parents. And certainly in some ways we are. I'm not just my father, I'm not just my mother. But there are themes and imprints that I did receive from them. And it's those themes and imprints that we want to take a look at. And the patterns that our parents had in their marriages and how they did relationships, because those were what taught us and showed us how we should do it and what we should do to have relationships. As many say, we marry our parents or we marry our caregivers. Now, people would say, oh, I didn't marry my parents, I didn't marry. Well, I would say most did, because we have a 50% divorce rate, which means we have unresolved issues, which creates difficulties for our marriage now, and that creates such a high divorce rate and unhappiness rate. And in fact, I just completed a video entitled The Loyal but Loveless Marriage, and I think not resolving family of origin issues also creates the loyal but loveless marriage. You might take a look at that video. It's on our YouTube channel on YouTube, Family Tree Counseling Channel. Using our 3D glasses that have imprinted on them our family of origin, we view the world and our relationships and love. We also tend to view ourselves as well. We use those glasses that we received and we look out into the world, and that's how we see that. It's the filters we use. It's the gyroscope that we use to navigate through life. And I think you can either buy a new map or get a different map, or you can fix your GPS system or your gyroscope or your sextant, and that might help you navigate better. I'm not so sure the map's the problem. I'm not so sure the lay of the land is the problem. It's the internal directional system that we have that's the problem. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, come on in and let's talk about it, and I'll show you. and I think you'll come to see what I'm talking about. Because we are imprinted with our family of origin and parent relationship, it makes it very hard for a simple behavioral approach to marriage recovery work. It's kind of like telling someone, okay, what I want you to do is, I know your leg is fractured, but I'd like to show you how to walk. Well, if the fracture doesn't get set, or pins don't get put in, or we don't do something about the fracture, it isn't going to matter how much I teach you how to walk or not. You're not going to be able to accomplish it, and you're probably still going to fall. Fixing the fracture is fixing the internal family of origin issues. Learning how to walk is the behavioral, attitudinal, and thought process that we need to change, which I have found behavior, thoughts, and attitudes tend to change almost automatically or organically or naturally after we've made changes internally in resolving our family of origin issues. In other words, there's less need for the behavioral changes because you've changed who you are and who's inside you. Those things come a lot more naturally. I don't have to teach someone how to communicate if I can uncover, help them resolve, heal the internal hindrances to communication. Then I find them communicating more without teaching them all the rules. Though there are some very good rules to learn. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not sure it's a replacement for fixing the internal difficulties. The best way to move forward or to have a happy, healthy marriage is to go back home. Often we try to move forward by moving away from our families or away from our family of origin, or try not to be like our parents or families. But this tends to not be a fix. It often tends to intensify the pattern. In other words, people say 180 degrees from sick is still sick. So if we're just the anti of our parents, that's not a healthy place to be in. It's just the anti. What we want to fix is what caused the problem in the first place. Family of origin work is the long-term, real and permanent solution for a hurting or broken marriage. Stop blaming your spouse and start looking at a bigger picture. You both are doing what is natural for you and what you have learned. What you're doing feels right and fits in your worldview. I didn't say it didn't hurt, and I didn't say it felt always comfortable, and I didn't say it didn't have problems. But it is something in terms of a way of living that fits in the way your inner world is supposed to feel. If you change your inner world, then the external things change. Start learning to stop inviting what you're getting and stop being a magnet for what you don't really want. This is the process of learning to be a victim. In other words, if we're afraid of a real marriage and a real intimate relationship, we'll go and find one that's loveless and not intimate. And we'll find someone who's safe and who won't leave us. So our internal life just predicted who we were going to find to be a part of our marriage relationship. And so that's what we do. We find someone that fits our internal architecture. If you change that architecture, it changes what you experience on the outside. Without doing your own family of origin work, we bring too much of our family of origin to our relationships and not enough of our true self or the true us. And what is so difficult about this process is the fact that we don't even know we are doing it. We don't see it. I remember a quote I read on Facebook not too long ago, and it said, I keep tripping over what I can't see. And I think that is a classic description of what people do in their marriages. They keep tripping over what they cannot see. Marriage therapy is about helping you to see, and turning the lights on in the room can make a huge difference in your relationship. Now, of course, we are all free to avoid therapy. You don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to get any help. You can avoid recovery work. There's no law that says you have to do it. You can avoid working on yourself and continue to blame your spouse. You might even continue to blame yourself for your problems. And you can avoid going back home and freeing yourselves so that you can be more of you, to be more us, to be more of ourselves. It's just that you will find that you will keep tripping over the things you can't see and don't realize, which we end up ending in our 50% divorce rate, or existing in an unhappy marriage, trying new relationships or affairs in hopes of fixing our family of origin issues still stuck within us. Using a multi-generational lens to view or see our current relationships is a huge advantage to the just change your thinking, attitude, and behavior approaches used by many therapists or who do couples counseling, and do not understand the importance of family systems, marital systems, or family of origin work. Many therapists have never done their own family of origin work, which is why they are so attracted to the behavioral approaches, and which is why they so lean towards those approaches as convenient, easy, and it also doesn't stir up their own issues. If I have my own family of origin issues and I want to avoid them, then one of the things I want to do in therapy is never talk to my clients about family of origin issues. Then that will keep it away from my issues. And therapists can be human and are human just like anyone else. I remember a client who came in and said her previous therapist had told her simply to understand that her father was a difficult man, and she just needed to avoid her father, who was critical and shaming, and that this would solve her problem. She would then be happy and could go on in her relationships. But actually what resulted was a string of relationships with men who cheated on her, abandoned her, shamed her, and were very critical of her. Sound familiar? You don't think that might be any dad issues there, do you? Well, the therapist didn't feel comfortable working with those or working through them with her, so she just left her vulnerable. And she just went out in her view of, okay, I'm going to just cut off from my dad and cut off from that process, and I'm not going to talk to him. I'm just going to leave him in the past. Well, then she ends up repeating the past over and over again. The therapist was not comfortable with the approach of dealing with family of origin issues because she herself had not done the family of origin work for herself. So she only used behavioral approaches of change to help the client try to be different. Not everyone who says they can do couple counseling, marital therapy, or family therapy can. If you have a hard time finding a therapist, call me at 317-919-6264. If you're out of state, I have Skype or FaceTime available as well. Whether you live in New Mexico or Georgia, it may be hard to find a good therapist. With today's technology, anyone can find an experienced and effective therapist to help you with your marital problems. Thanks for listening to the video. Join us on the Family Tree channel at Family Tree Counseling channel, or find me at www.familytreecounseling.com. And thanks for listening. Have a good day.